friends and family, your relationship with God, and then physically food, water, firearms, and property. And look, I've moved to the country. I've got a well. I'm putting in the solar. I got a garden. I mean, I know what's coming, the Second Great Depression. And but then there's the issue. My wife says, well, what do we do? We're here in the country. People know we've got food. The government could come do something. And I'm like, listen, they're criminals. I'm not going to be in the worst position of having nothing and then, well, nobody will want me because I have nothing. I've got to be ready. Just because, and of course, the answer is then have some of it hidden off-site. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. That's what I've done. I've got my stuff spread out so much, good luck. And then, well, what if the government demands it? These are criminals. They can't take all our food. They can't take all our guns. Some people say, well, I'm not going to buy a gun. They might confiscate it. Because they might want to confiscate it is why you need it. It shows how important a gun and food is when you go into a situation like this. It'd be like, well, the government of this steamship is trying to confiscate anybody that has life rafts in their rooms. And it's like, well, since you want it, I'm not going to hide my life raft, you know, that's in the closet that isn't blown up. So since you're asking for it, here, go ahead and have it. It's your life raft. It's not theirs. And so you don't not have a life raft because the government might try to come take it. Do you see my point? It's like people saying, I don't want to have kids. The world's just too bad. Well, we wouldn't be here if our ancestors had that same attitude. Who went through a lot more than we're going through physically, I will assure you. You know, it's like, I don't want to have kids. They could die in a car wreck. I mean, it's this total give up on society attitude. I know you've heard it before. It's just unbelievable to see how crazy things are getting. But, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't have firearms and you don't know how to use them, you're crazy. And if you don't get basic training for them and store them right, you're crazy as well. And I'm not trying to lecture you here, but this is all common sense. The system wants us domesticated. And in every case, from Stalin to Pol Pot right through, they use food as a weapon. Henry Kissinger said they'd use food as a weapon. In State Department Memorandum 200, the UN said it in '96 at their World Food Conference. That's why they're trying to shut down family farms and ranches. But look, America's fighting back. Here's the Hill today. I meant to get to this earlier with Steve. Farm Dust Bill approved in the House. The legislation is needed, H.R. 1633, because any dust, including hay, is considered a toxic waste, $10,000 fines. It passed 268 to 150. Now, that's the EPA shutting down most of our power plants now that aren't General Electric owned. This is a military economic attack on us by the bankers. They don't like the wealth of this country. They want to consolidate it. They want you under their control. Defeat them. Grow gardens. So what if the cops come and say you can't and they have to inspect it in areas of Oklahoma and Michigan? They're crazy authoritarians, so they need to be confronted. And somebody wants to know about your food, they can go to Hades. And at a certain point, ladies and gentlemen, look, I got guns and I got food and you're not getting them. At a certain point, you got to say, I'm manned up and that's the end of it. Now go ahead and try it. You just can't live your whole life groveling. It invites these wolves. Now, side issue, I'm ranting, and I've got to get you back up soon for a full hour, Steve, to talk everything food, because I'm hearing food ads everywhere, all these fly-by-night companies I've never heard of. It's on the other side, but get started now. What do you recommend you do? Because I know you've given advice for years on the food. If things do break down, it's not the government you're going to have to worry about probably. It's going to be thieves looking for it. What do you do with the food?
Well, very simply, you should try and keep it in a secured area. In terms of temperature and storage, that type of thing, keep your food as comfortable as you are. But be very careful. Treat it like it is your wealth. It is your life. So don't be talking about it a great deal. Encourage your friends and family to store their own. But the best attitude that I can give you is that food is your greatest dependency, and the way that you maintain your freedom. Food is freedom right now. So what you have to do is look at it from the standpoint, if you don't want to take a totally negative attitude toward the government and the possible confiscation and things, if you just want to be reasonable and say, look, it's my personal responsibility to care for those I love. it's also, as an American, my patriotic responsibility to take care of my family so that
I'll tell you what, stay there, Steve, just briefly. Is this the greatest food buying you've ever seen?
Oh, it's absolutely absurd. I have never, and the thing is that what we're doing as Americans is we're competing with other countries. China and India, the big population countries of the world, are out there farming the planet. And what folks don't realize is that we literally are in a battle for our food, and what has to happen is realize that events like in Tennessee are just an indicator of how important food is. If it's drawing that kind of attention, some of it negative in this case, the fact is that we as Americans, you as a family, have to look at the fact that you are competing for your food today. The reason food prices are going up so much is these other countries are coming on and buying the raw materials that we're out there fighting to get so that we can process the food and get it to families so that they can put it into their storage. And in fact, a lot of those families are eating the food right now because the food costs in the grocery store are so high. So this is, right now, you might say it's a war for freedom, but we are in a worldwide food war right now, so get yours is the only thing I can say.
And by the way, you saw this, Steve, 5 years ago, saying, watch, the commodities are going to go up. And now you watch any financial show, they admit the elite are getting out of paper currencies and going into farmland and food production, and they're saying that's the next big bubble. And
Alex, they are dumping their gold to go into food. They're dumping gold now. Remember when we said that it was paper going to gold, and then eventually the only currency on the planet would be food? That's where we are. People, large investors, are dumping gold to get into food. They're buying the agriculture. What we're doing, and what I've concentrated all my time on right now, is buying raw materials out ahead of time so that these other countries don't buy them away from us so Americans can have food. That's where we are. And this Tennessee thing should only light the fuse that says this thing is in the process of exploding right now. You are absolutely right. You've been right the way you've been calling it for the last 10 years, Alex.
Well, I wish I wasn't right. We're watching the New World Order come into being. Steve Shenk.
You know, people ask us all the time, how do we do it? How do we make great food, quality, variety, save you money, $1.50 on average per entree meal? I'll tell you, it's very simple. We directly source our product. We take out all the middlemen. We take care of the manufacturing, the sourcing, the distribution, and we remove all the advertising costs. So typically, no pun intended in the food chain, if there's 18 steps, we're going to remove 16 of them, and we turn around and we compress that entire food chain, and we have a higher quality food. We pay our people and our members and our customers to eat our food. We remove all of those extra costs that are part of the food chain. We handle it from start to finish, no advertising, direct sourcing, distribution, manufacturing, all of that. And myself as a co-founder and my other partners have 30 years of experience in doing exactly this. And Go Foods benefits from it. And you can serve and save and share this food every single day. And it allows us to set some of the money aside to give back to the Go Foods Foundation, which is 1 in 10 meals. We consumer-driven philanthropy back to the community where these are purchased. So that's how we save money, that's how you benefit, and that's how we compress the food chain.